Hi guys, this is Knight Rider here, and y'all are joining me in the midst of a front-wheel drive race that I am not doing very good at. And I'm driving a Honda Civic Type R. That drift though, is driving like crap. Wants to go live to make fun of it, to make fun of himself. Ends up pulling off the most perfect front-wheel drive drift as soon as he goes live. I swear I did not plan that, guys. I legitimately have been driving like crap this entire race. And it's because I did drink a little bit last night, so I'm kind of just having fun with it. Oh, well, there's the crappy driving. So what the hell, why can't I drive this good when I'm like off camera? Because y'all, I just be driving sometimes out of boredom just because I want to. Off camera, and I'll be all over the freaking place. Like, it'd be terrible. But now, as soon as I go on live, I start... With the exception of that corner, because as you can clearly tell, I made no effort in turning. Apparently, you actually have to input steering. So, I go from 6 all the way down to 10. Y'all, I'm so hyped for the old school. Because I feel like y'all are going to end up watching me do races like this, front wheel drive only races for the longest time. Because back in the day, the last Gran Turismo that I really spent any significant amount of time with was number 5, and considering how difficult the Gran Turismo series to that point has become, I could only imagine what 7 is going to be like with the amazing amount of detail. I mean, this is the PS4 version of Gran Turismo Sport, which is running, it's what, a 5-year-old game? And it's running incredibly well. It looks incredible. So you can only just imagine just how much more detail there's going to be. And especially because it would almost be stupid not to have PlayStation VR support later in the year when the VR2 drops. And I'm gonna be real with you guys, that's more than anything what I got this whole setup for. Like, I am so freaking hyped. Like, between the wheel and pedal, and I know that PlayStation VR 2 is coming out, that's like the perfect freaking setup to do the content that I kind of want to do from the perspective that I want to do it. Because obviously nobody's going to give me a car out in real life to go do this on the track, especially not when I'm driving like this. But you know what I mean? Like, obviously I'm not going to beat on a hammer environment like this in real life. I'm gentle about it. But the point being is, because I can't get a license, nobody's really going to trust me. I wouldn't trust me, at least, right offhand on a track or whatever. I'm trying to multitask, and I'm clearly good at that. Ooh, okay, I'm going to just go ahead and restart this race and get my thoughts together real quick, because I'm doing 5,000 things at once. What I'm excited for with the PlayStation VR 2 and Gran Turismo 7 is the opportunity to be able to pursue my passion of automotive creativity and car culture, even though I've been told my whole life that I'll never... Why would you care about that? Why should you care anything about cars when you'll never be able to drive? But what people don't realize, and I'm gonna say this is the first time I'm really saying it publicly in any kind of capacity. I can't go drive on the streets. I want one day to go and have enough property to be able to build my own private racetrack. You know, like, how cool would that be to be able to have an actual, like, full-on racetrack that I could go to anytime I want to. I don't have to worry about, you know, messing with anybody else's track day or endangering anybody. I could sit there and on my own time, and that's like one of my ultimate life goals above anything. Because technically you don't have to have a license on your own private property to drive around, and if it's my own private property, I can build it how I need it to build it how I'd be comfortable, what I know I can use, and how I can make it accessible. That's the real, like, up there. That's up there with having a family. You know, being able to use my life story as an inspiration for people, and just my passion of car culture and the ability to be creative in ways that I've thought about for years. It's finally becoming a reality. And I am so freaking hyped for that, y'all. Oh boy, I am so hyped. Not mean to push that guy off. I just was not on the brakes very good. Oh yeah, it turns out that if you brake while turning, it really doesn't do you any good. You just lock up the wheels. Like, y'all, I've been sitting on so many creative ideas for so many years that, like, it's almost unreal the amount of stuff that's in my mind, like what I want to do and what the kind of stuff that I want to create. Oh yeah, so it's very subtle, but that's crazy. The details they have in this so subtle. Like when you're going around a corner, if you're constantly heavy braking and all that, and abusing the brakes, naturally they're going to heat up because that's what they do. Well, as you go around different corners each lap, I'm noticing it takes longer to slow down. Like, that is a crazy amount of detail that they have to where the brake fade is seemingly noticeable. Because they're just getting hotter and the brake fluid is overheating and boiling. how the hell I got managed to pull off Ford as sloppy as I'm driving right now. Oh, there I go, trying to brake and turn again when my front wheels are my power wheels. Generally a good idea. Go ahead and lock up the brakes, make them useless, lock up the tires. It's hard to, you can definitely accelerate when the tires are spinning. I'm not giving up on this race. I'm going to re-race it though. I'm not a quitter. Except for the times that I am. I kind of want to create the American equivalent of the Nürburgring, but 16 miles is way too much property for one person to privately own. I could end up having a whole ass town in the middle of my... Although that would give me a really cool idea for like a car museum. See y'all, this is the... Everybody sits there and wants to put Billy down and like mock Billy and this and that and everything else. Little do they realize that the ideas that are in my mind, like if I could get a 2-mile track, I could build a really cool museum, like automotive themed town in the midst of it. Like, you know, and have different museums and like an entire automotive town in the midst of a racetrack. Like have it be where the ring road is the track. Little do people realize just how much back in the day carrying that PS1 and that miniature TV and grinding day after day on Gran Turismo and NASCAR 98. Oh my god, I played NASCAR 98 so much that game. I wore that discount. But y'all, just little people realize that when in the midst of everything going on, those subtle little things like that, that was me working, even then as a kid, towards some crazy dreams, some crazy ideas. Obviously, I could have never realized that as a kid. I always just knew that I was obsessed with gaming, and I've always been obsessed with cars and car culture. Hell, some of my earliest memories that I have, let me go ahead and hold them brakes that are way overheated and useless. Some of the earliest memories I have are only a quarter mile down, living only a quarter mile down the road from the tire shop. Like, it's basically been a lifelong obsession. And as much as I am an ICE internal combustion engine all the way to the end of time, I am incredibly excited to watch what's going on in the EV sphere. And because with the EVs, it's also breathing, it's creating the idea of self-driving technology. And that, I'm really excited for what that's going to do for the future of transportation. You know, I'm that particular aspect, I'm excited about. Like Tesla's autopilot, even though I've yet to get to ride in a Tesla, from all the videos I've seen and everything I've done and research on it, obviously no program's ever going to be perfect, and I'm not saying go put 100% faith in a new emerging technology, but autopilot is incredibly impressive from what I've seen so far. And I preference that by when I made the comment about the autopilot, because as soon as I mention Tesla autopilot, some of the first things that come to people's minds is the umpteen bajillion crashes. But you got to understand that with new technology, nothing's ever 100% perfect from the beginning. But I'm super excited about autopilot and what it can possibly do, and just self-driving in general excites me about the possibility of the level of independence that it can truly create for people. Like, you know, it's going to open up the world quite literally to an entire group of people who may not have otherwise necessarily had a desire to really get out and travel because it was just too inconvenient or too frustrating or too burdensome. You know, like, I know myself personally, and when I say this, I am not speaking for anybody. I'm not speaking for just myself. I'm speaking for everybody on this one. I hate taking the bus. I really do. It is so, some days it's so just frustrating because it's like it literally kind of feels like it takes sometimes 4 hours to go do something that really should not even take an hour. And so, obviously, you know, the retort to that could be, well, what about traffic? You know, traffic is a big issue. People have to sit in traffic all day, and you're not entirely wrong. I will not disagree with you on that. And I also will not disagree with the fact that, you know what, having more cars on the road, yes, that does give more people more independence, but it also kind of creates more traffic. So, I mean, is there really any real practical solution to the problem? Not in my lifetime. Sure as hell not in my lifetime. Not the way I'm living my life now. But no, on truth though, like, it's gonna eventually one day, but now is not the time. Now, what I want to do is learn how to fly. Because my thought process is, yes, there's still traffic in the sky, but there's less traffic in the sky than there is on the roads. And I mean, what is there for me to really run into in the sky that I can't easily see? I don't know how the hell I'm going to pull off third, because this is a very sloppy race. I mean, only sloppy. Shut up, really. Now, this is a very sloppy race. What the hell that sound effect was? I apparently just can't drive front-wheel drive cars on this particular track. Of course. How are you going to put it? Yeah, prop. That wheel spin though. I don't know how I got third, but I will take it, considering I should not have gotten third. Wait, what the hell? I already did 35 miles. When did I do 35 miles? When the fuck did I play this? Did I really get that much? No? Oh, you know what? I woke up. I played it a little bit after I played Cyberpunk this morning. That's what I did. Never mind. Never mind, people. Just kidding. Well, let's say we shall go butcher another race. We'll see if I can go drive a Ford any better than I can drive a Honda. Wait, no, how the heck was that? I mean, considering I wasn't driving very good, I was gonna say, never mind. I started to say, how the heck was that Suzuki Swift keeping up with me? But then again, I was driving terrible. And it's a video game. I did not mean to stop that much, but okay. Well, this is already off to a great start. Not quitting, just retrying. There's a difference. I'm not a quitter. I just run away and restart. Race driver of the year, y'all. I'm the race driver of the year out here. Setting records. Setting records, making things impossible happen. Well, guys, told y'all I'm not here setting records. Was not pretty, not finest work ever, but you know, got the job done. Right around the corner. Even if it wasn't perfect. braked a long time ago, but it didn't. I'd rather go off-road. Starting to think that maybe All Out Power isn't necessarily the name of the game here. Maybe I need something a little bit more nimble. Like that Citroen Copen or whatever it is. That car that I just unintentionally pit maneuvered because he decided to dive in my way. He decided to dive in my way. Like a suicidal madman. So it turns out that front-wheel drive cars actually handle quite a bit differently than rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive cars. Who would have ever thought such a thing? Oh, like this is the most fascinating thing ever. It's like they brake different, they handle different. Obviously, I'm just kidding, people. I just have a very, I deal with things with humor, even if it's dry and sort of Juno-like. Yes, I just made a freaking reference to a very obscure movie that half of my audience has probably never even watched or heard of. And I'd be genuinely shocked because I only heard about that movie because of some of the weird music by Maya Dawson. Like, I only heard about that movie because I had a couple of weird, eccentric friends in high school. Y'all, I don't know how the hell I'm sitting there winning. Hey, buddy. That's what happens if you don't brake enough. Just thought I'd let you know that. But seriously though, Juno is one of those very... It's a weird movie, but it's kind of good. It's actually got Ellen Page. Which is also another reason I happen to know about it. Yeah, because Ellen Page is from Beyond Two Souls and Until... I want to say she's in Until Dawn, but I don't know. Because I've never actually played Until Dawn. It's one of the few PS4 exclusives that I never got around to, besides God of War and Horizon Zero Dawn and Spider-Man and Killzone and Demon Souls. Which, I'm sorry, but I'm not playing Demon Souls because I'm not going to become a violent individual. Oh yeah, there's Death Stranding, Metal Gear Solid 5. I'm just going to randomly name out bajillion PS4 games that I have yet to get around to actually putting any significant time into. Oh, also, by the way, Sony, what would a guy have to do to get your attention to possibly raise money to convince you to re-release Pursuit Force? Pursuit Force really needs to be remade. Because I feel like nobody's heard of that game because it was a PSP exclusive. A really obscure but really fun game. Basically where you play as an undercover cop and you kind of, you do a whole lot of like old school Hollywood and inspired drug bust and action. It's such a cool game. Very, very criminally underrated. Basically, you play as an undercover cop and your goal is to do a bunch of 80s action theme inspired missions where you eventually got to work your way up to taking down different criminal organizations. It's a surprisingly challenging but rewarding game that got a sequel, but to my knowledge, is never left the PSP. And if we're going to be in this whole remastering games shindig that we're seemingly never going to get out of, why not remaster some obscure PSP titles? Joan of Arc, Pursuit Force 1 and 2, Daxter, oh my god, I can name out PSP. I can name out like 5 million PSP games. Like, PSP is my favorite console of all time. Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. The Monster Hunter series, basically all the Monster Hunter games. Invisimals. Because Invisimals was unique, because that came with the PSP camera. Oh god. Mod Nation Racers. Oh, fuck. Sony, why don't y'all bring back Mod Nation Racers? Oh my god, why don't y'all bring back Mod Nation Racers? That's like such a perfect modern day. Oh my god, this might be the most hyped up live stream I've had in a long time. Now, there are so many different PSP games that I can freaking name them all. Like, the PSP is my #1 console of all time. But seriously, I've never played, I don't know if it's pronounced Joan Dark or Joan of Arc or however it is. This is a really obscure PSP game that I've personally never played. I think it's based off the actual tale of Joan of Arc. But I've never personally seen any physical copies of it, and I've never gotten a chance to play it. But it's one of the oh my god, there's the Two City Stories games. But, yeah, Joan of Arc is like one of those obscure PSP games that really needs to be brought to modern platforms because so few people experienced it because it was so criminally it was sort of like a hidden gem on the PSP. Like, they didn't make too many copies of it. So it was sort of like limited edition, and to my understanding, it's one of the more expensive PSP games to this day. It's been about 6 months to a year since I've really like taken a proper look at PSP stuff. But yeah, Joan of Arc is one of the more expensive games. You got Ratchet Clank, Size Matters, Secret Agent Clank, the Siphon Filter games, Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, which I'm not 100% sure, but I feel like Peace Walker did get a console release at one point. You got the freaking SOCOM games. Like, oh my god, the SOCOM games were SOCOM back in the day was what Siege is now. There's the Warriors, but there was a PS2 version of that. There's some of my favorite PSP games that were never like that there were better console versions, but I liked just for the fact that it was playable on handheld form. Test Drive Unlimited, Midnight Club LA Remix, Midnight Club 3. You could say the City Stories games fit in that. The Grand Theft Auto City Stories, because those were impressive that they were playable on handheld. But, like, I put over probably 200 hours into Midnight Club 3 on the PSP. Like, no kid, like, I played more of the handheld version of that game than I have any of the console versions. There's Burnout Legends, which is a really fun compilation. The two Thrillville games, which, while not perfect, were impressive on the PSP. I'm trying to think what else there is. Y'all, there's so much stuff with the PSP that I could talk about. Like, there's the 1000, there's 4 different models, technically 5 different models. There's the 1000, which is the OG Fat Boy that everybody, that came out in 2005 for North America, 2004 for Japan. And that one basically only had 32 megabytes, or no, it was, I forget how many megabytes of RAM it had, but it was basically not enough. It was so little RAM that certain UMDs could take upwards of a minute or two to load. Like, and then in 2007, they released a 2000 model, which they released in a bunch of different colors: silver, white, blue, black, red, Star Wars imprint, God of War imprint. Yeah, the 2000 basically doubled the RAM, made the screen a little bit brighter. It slimmed it down considerably. Because, if y'all never held a PSP 1000, that thing, it's a chungus. It's a brick. It really is. But yeah, basically with the 2000, they gave it slightly better battery life, upgraded the RAM so that you could load UMDs faster. And let me tell you, one of the biggest benefits of that was Midnight Club 3. Y'all, like, the Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition on the PSP 1000 is borderline unplayable. The loading time is so bad. It is so, like, it takes upwards of a minute and a half. And it has to load between every menu. But with that being said, the PSP 2000 fixed the biggest issue of the UMDs, which was the loading times, by doubling the RAM. And then in 2008, I want to say, no, it was 09, because it was when they did the PSP Go. In 2009, Sony kind of was the very first, really, to do the whole all-digital route that is seemingly becoming the modern trend by releasing the PSP Go in 2009, which personally is probably my favorite hardware revision outside of the PSP Street, which we can't get here in the US. My favorite is the PSP Go because it was a pioneer of technology. Like, that was pretty ballsy to go all digital in 2009 when 3G was just barely coming into its own on phones, and they had the stupid proprietary memory sticks, but not like it came out it's such a unique piece of technology because it was so forward thinking. Looking at it now, you could almost say that the PSP Go and the PSP 3000 were a prediction of what modern gaming is nowadays, because nowadays you have an all-digital, 100% diskless version of both consoles, which you have to rely on downloading stuff. And then you also got the option, if you wanted, to have the disk drive and get a better, more capable version. The PSP Go and the PSP 3000 was the first ever instance of that in gaming, and I don't think people will ever truly appreciate the PSP Go enough for that. Like, Yeah, it was flawed, but look at the infrastructure of the time. Look at what time it came out. If they would have released it with 3G capability to where you could sit there and have a cellular version, I think it would have probably sold a hell of a lot more. Because I'm kind of surprised they did not experiment with that. Because if you've ever, the PSP Go is the perfect design to be turned into a cell phone, a gaming phone. Like, if they would have put the PSP Go with 3G connectivity, allowed you to make and receive calls and text messages and all that, that thing would have freaking went massively more viral than it did. It would have blew up way more than it did. Because it basically isn't Engage without the phone capability, and better. Like, I've said for years that I wish the PSP Go could have been a phone. But be that as it may, it still is a revolutionary piece of technology. Because look at what modern gaming is like now. You've got the Xbox Series S, which is an all-digital, discless, slightly lesser version. The PSP Go, it was an all-digital, slightly smaller screen, slightly lesser version. And then you have the Xbox Series X, which was equivalent to the PSP 3000 in that you had the full-fat, full-on PSP experience with the UMD drive and the full big screen and all that. The same thing with the PS5. You've got a disc version, and then you've got a version that's completely discless. You want to go an all-digital future in whatever, you've got the option to do that. Like, the PSP was kind of, the PSP Go is kind of the forerunner, kind of that, before that ever really, before we realized that's what modern trends would be. And that to me is so cool. That's what makes it unique. I know there's one particular version of the PSP that I want to get so bad, and that is the Hannah Montana purple one. The lilac, my bad. I know that is such an obscure thing, but seriously though, that was so limited, because who the hell wants a purple PSP? But I want it. That to me is kind of one of my most sought after particular ones is the PSP 3000, the lilac Hannah Montana Rock Out the Show bundle. Outside of that, the other probably most obscure one that I want to get my hands on, only because I'm in the US, is the PSP E1000, which is a European-only version that came out at the very tail end of the PSP's life cycle, more or less just kind of as a, it was just kind of, we got leftover parts, let's just put together something cheap for someone who just wants to kind of just, hey, let me make an impulse buy. So it's incredibly limited, it's only got one speaker, it's a matte design, has no Wi-Fi, and it looks so freaking cool. But like I said, I mainly want it because being an American, we never got that in the States. It was only released in a limited edition in Europe for $99 or 99 euros. Excuse me. I seriously might create a GoFundMe though to freaking figure out to hire somebody to make a Pursuit Force remastered. Because that would be so cool. I kind of want to get me a 3D printer and learn how to use it properly and everything and start 3D printing UMD replacement cases. Because those things, that is the one major flaw to the PSP's disc, the Universal Media Disc, is they are very fragile. Incredibly fragile. But also that's what makes it such a unique console, and that's one of the principal reasons I like it, is the fact that it's literally a full-on console, but in the palm of your hands. Like, the PSP is more console-like than any handheld before, or dare I even say it, after. And I'm saying that knowing full well that the Nintendo Switch exists. But to me, the PSP still feels more of a literal console that you can take anywhere. Whereas the Switch, it's impressive, don't get me wrong, I like it, but it's always felt more like a extremely powerful gaming tablet that just has the convenience of being able to be plugged into my TV. Like, I feel like I could play the Switch entirely in handheld mode and never even have a clue that it could be a home console. That is an incredibly tight corner. Oh my god, where's the breaking point? That is a ridiculously tight corner. Where's the freaking breaking point? Oh yeah. And the PSP also somehow managed to get a Gran Turismo game. Albeit, it kind of did legitimately kind of disappoint me a little bit, considering that that was one of the main reasons for the longest time that I wanted a PSP. Another one to hell. consider this a clean race, because there for a second I couldn't really see clearly. It got so bright that it started reflecting on my TV. 5 seconds to adjust. Win, lose, or draw, I'm not quitting this race. Y'all, I know my driving's terrible, but like my mind's in a million other places at the moment. Like, how the heck do I convince Sony? How do I get Sony's attention and make them convince them to remaster 2 of the most obscure but awesome PSP games ever? Seriously, Pursuit Force 1 and 2 would be a really cool remaster bundle. And it would expose some incredibly obscure games to a wider audience, which could only breed a way more modern, much more insane game. What I've always heard and always been told that depressed people who are incredibly creative and full of ideas tend to be naturally more depressed because they're always so much more self-critical. I don't know how true that is, y'all, but I know I've got some cool-ass ideas that I want to accomplish, but I'm always very self-critical of, like, I'm always full of self-doubt, is I guess the better way to put it. Like, I doubt I can make that corner. Oh no, I lost traction on my... Ow, jeez, I about broke my wrist. Oh my god. I broke my wrist on my racing wheel. Y'all, I almost hurt myself playing video games. Man, these modern games are so realistic, they're kind of dangerous. I'm just gonna make my own path. Why follow their path when I can make my own? Hey, the place. There's a wall there, guys. And it's rainbow stripe. You're really just gonna limit me because I'm on dirt. But I thought y'all had gravel. That was some real professional driving there, guys. I can see 9.2 miles. From 3,335 miles. If I would have gotten this game a couple of years ago, I could see myself putting in these kind of hours. But when I know Gran Turismo 7 is about to come out, I'm not going to get most of these achievements. Alright, to be honest with you guys, I'm probably going to get off of here and go get something to eat. So it's been fun. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.